Good evening, this September 18th. Here are the latest major conflict news from around the globe. Let's get right to the details as there are many to share this evening. Starting off the United States, Trump, European countries that buy Russian oil should stop doing so. Trump, we will end the wars in Gaza and Ukraine and will coordinate with Congress on the matter. The U.S. Air Force has awarded Applied Research Associates a contract to develop and produce a next generation bunker busting bomb that was used this year against Iran's Fordo uranium enriched facility and is intended to replace the GBU 57. In Ukraine, drones have been reported in Kiev. United Kingdom. Trump at the press conference today says Putin has let me down. He's really let me down. Said he thought Ukraine war might be the easiest among the various wars it purports to have settled. Thanks NATO and the wonderful head of NATO, Mark, for the job he's done, citing 5% target. We're sending a lot of the weapons to NATO. NATO is paying for those weapons in full. Repeats 350 billion figure he claims U.S. has spent on Ukraine. United Kingdom, British Prime Minister, had discussed with Trump ways to increase defense support for Ukraine. Starmer, standing next to Trump, Putin has shown his true face, mounting the biggest attack since the invasion began. Content. If you enjoy this type of content, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. It helps a lot. We aim to deliver the main conflict news updates 2 times daily, one time in the early part of the day and a second time later in the day evening. The goal is to have content in a very quick, to the point format. This allows you, the viewer, to get the main information and then move on with the remainder of your day or evening. Moving on to Ireland. Ireland delivers 34 vehicles and demining robots to Ukraine. Ireland delivered 34 military vehicles and 3 demining robots to Ukraine as part of its non-lethal military aid, the Irish government announced September 18th. Moving on to Germany. Germany has changed its position and now supports the use of frozen Russian assets to finance Ukraine's need, according to Bloomberg. In Lithuania, Lithuanian anti-terrorist special forces have arrested a group of Russian spies who were planning to carry out 4 major terrorist attacks. Poland conducts mass bomber shelter inspections after recent Russian drone incursions. Polish authorities are inspecting bomb shelters across the country to assess the readiness as temporary productive facilities. The U.S. State Department just approved Poland's request to buy 253 Javelin anti-tank weapons and 2,500 plus FGM 148F Javelin all-up rounds for $800 million. Ukraine and Poland are establishing a joint task force for unmanned aerial systems. The corresponding was signed today in Kiev together with Poland's deputy prime minister. Russia. Ukraine has taken the war deep into Russia's heartland. Drone strikes are hitting Moscow, St. Petersburg, and oil refineries across the country, undermining Putin's war economy. The drone campaign is already driving downstream economic shocks across Russia. Moscow. Putin says 700,000 fighters are on the combat line in Ukraine. Volgograd, as mentioned before, and to emphasize, Special Operation Forces of Armed Forces of Ukraine have attacked oil refinery in Volgograd. In Rostov, Ukrainian drone struck a critical railway communications facility in Rostov. Israeli army. Earlier this evening, Thursday, an additional UAV that was launched from Yemen was intercepted by the IAF in the past few hours. Gaza. Terrifying scenes have been reported of Israel airstrikes on the western areas of Gaza City. Continuing with Gaza, Israel is pushing towards the center of Gaza City from 2 directions this evening, sandwiching Palestinians and forcibly displacing them toward the coast in a bid to drive them out of the besieged enclave's largest urban center. Turkey warned Cyprus that Israeli air defense system could destabilize the island. Syria. UN envoy to Syria has reported to Al Jazeera Israel must stop the bombing and withdraw from the territories it occupied in Syria. Continuing with Syria, the Trump administration has abruptly removed some of the most senior U.S. diplomats focused on Syria in recent days, per 5 people familiar with the matter. Jordan, the Jordanian Foreign Ministry named the driver today who carried out the attack. His name is Abdul, 57. A Jordanian civilian who began working 3 months ago as a driver to deliver aid to Gaza. Jordan condemns the deadly attack at the Allenby border crossing, saying it rejects all acts of violence and illegal actions that jeopardize Jordan's interests. The Jordanian Foreign Ministry stated that authorities are continuing to investigate the incident. Lebanon, a squadron of Israeli warplanes in the skies of southern Lebanon coincided with a wave of violent raids. An airstrike targeted a house on the Maze main road in Lebanon. Iran attempted to conduct a ballistic missile test with a heavy warhead and modifications for maneuverability to evade air defenses. The launch failed during the second stage just before the terminal phase. North Korea conducting drone testing today. Venezuela. Trump warns Congress U.S. is ready to strike again at narco-terrorists. Washington spoke the cartel of the Suns is no longer a regional problem. It's a global terrorist threat. Trump has invoked self-defense to attack Venezuelan drug boats. The Pentagon has reported that F-35B Lightning II aircraft from Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 225 are now in Puerto Rico. China backs Venezuela, warns U.S. against bullying after second deadly sea raid. No, I haven't. Trump denies talks with members of his administration to prepare for regime change in Venezuela. FBI director calls for drug cartels like the Cartel of the Suns to be treated the same as terrorist groups like Al Qaeda. The Venezuelan government does fear that Donald Trump will use very brutal methods and under the pretext of fighting cartels, carrying out strikes against Venezuela using B 52 strategic bombers. At Donald Trump's order, the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps are continuing intensive preparations in the Caribbean ahead of a potential strike on Venezuela. That's all, folks. That's the latest updates for this evening. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your night.